5 elements that I think make up Disney, 5 elements that could impact our lives and certainly have impacted my life. Number 1 is think tomorrow. If you don't think about the future, you won't have one. So you've got to plan for the future. Last year, I interviewed David Foster, and he was getting a big award from the University of Victoria, because he was born in Victoria. He went to the university in the afternoon to do a music class for about 100 students. But amazingly, there were 350 students in this class. I think they all wanted to be around David Foster. He had a little piano in front of him, and he did about an hour, hour and a half presentation. At the end of the presentation, there was this attractive lady in the front row, and she said, "Oh, Mr. Foster, I wish you could have heard my sister play the piano and sing." He said, "Why?" "If you'd have heard her play the piano and sing, you would have recorded her. And she could have made a CD, and you both could have made some money." And he shot back. He said, "Where does your sister live?" He said, "My sister lives in Toronto." "How long have you known I was going to be here?" 6 days ago. "Then you should have flown her out to Toronto last night on a red I-199, had her sit in the front row, asked me that very same question. I would have had her come up to the piano. Perhaps she could have sung and played the piano. If she's as good as you say she is, maybe I would have recorded her." And then he paused and he said, "She either needs a new sister or she needs a new manager. Because in this business, you've got to sacrifice." Number 2, free the imagination. Free the imagination. What could you do if your imagination was free? You thought about just about anything. A little while ago, I interviewed Jimmy Patterson. As you know, he's the 5th wealthiest man in Canada, wealthiest man in British Columbia. He has about 150 supermarkets. And there were 1,350 people in the audience. And right out of the blue, he said, "I was visiting one of my stores in not in Alberta, in Vancouver Island. And I couldn't help but notice how spotless the floors were. They were shiny, but not slippery. And I had to know who did this." And the manager said, "Well, it was the janitor." He said, "I want to meet the janitor." So the janitor came up to him. I don't think he had any idea who he was talking to, the janitor. And Jimmy said, "How do you make these floors so spotless? They're the best I've ever seen." And he said, "I don't listen to head office." And then Jimmy turned to the 1,350 people and said, "This guy does floors. You can do something better than anyone else in the world. Find that something and do it." Number 3, strive for lasting quality. Good is the enemy of great. Good is the enemy of great. "Oh, I'm a good speaker." Not good enough. You got to be great. And you got to work at it every day. You got to work at it every day. Good is the enemy of great. My father, I'm an only son, I love with all my heart. He was a great man. He died when he was 85, but he left a legacy. He was in the hospital for the last 2.5 weeks of his life. With tears streaming down my face, I put my dad's hand on his chest. I kissed him in the forehead. My dad closed his eyes, and he died. Here's my question. What do you think I would give for one more day with my dad? One more day to tell him how much I love him. One more day to soak up his wisdom, his intelligence, his knowledge. One more day. That's how important a day is. Don't dismiss a day. Don't waste a day. Stick to it. Don't waste a day. Have stick-to-itivity. We can get discouraged. We can get down. We can quit. Have stick-to-itivity. Well, let me set the scene for you. 350 students, all in uniform, standing to attention at breakfast. The headmaster walks in, and you can't speak or sit down until he says, "Boys, you can now speak and sit down." So he gets to his seat, and he seeks me out, and he says, "Legge, you were too slow for the half mile. But your mother sent a trophy. I guess I'll have to put you in the race. Now, this is not great motivation for a 10-year-old, I got to tell you. So there I was, the 16th runner in a 15-person race. The highlight of sports day. Hundreds of parents and uncles and aunts and grandparents. 4 times around the track, the gun goes off, and at the end of the first lap, I'm in 16th position. Exactly where I should be. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw my mother and my father and my grandmother, and I said, you better get your butt in gear. No, I didn't actually say that because I was British then. I probably said something like this. I say, Mummy and Daddy and Grandmama, I best get a move on. At the end of the second lap, I'm now in 9th position. I look out the corner of my eye, and there's my mother and my father and my grandmother encouraging their son on. At the end of the third lap, I'm now in 4th position. They're standing on their chair, yelling and screaming and doing something. And miracles of miracles, I won that race. And I got a little trophy that's only this big, that today might only be worth $2. I still have it on my mantelpiece. I probably said to myself, nobody is going to win my mom's trophy. But it reminds me to this day, you can do the impossible. You can't win every race, but you can't win any race if you're not in it. You can't win anything unless you're a participant. And so often we stand back and say, should I really be doing that? Should I really be risking that? And the answer is yes, you should, because every day counts. Every day is critical. Number 5, have fun. Have fun. She dropped her knapsack and she threw her arms around me and she says, Dad, I am so scared. I love you so much. I don't want to go. So I handed her a credit card. And I said, you gotta go, sweetie pie. When you get there, if this university is not cracked up to what it's supposed to be, you just go to British Airways, put it down, come home, no questions asked. But you gotta go. Give her a big kiss, some tears, driving home. Gotta make this fun. Gotta do something different. So I emailed her before she got there and I said, plan on coming to London about halfway through your trip. I'll be there. Then I had to get a speaking engagement close to London. Florida was the closest I could get. But then I got to New York and I went over. And then I had another idea. What can I do that's fun? So I said to Samantha, she was in university, skip this next week, and you fly from Vancouver, I'm going to fly from New York, and we'll meet at the hotel, the Grosvenor Hotel, but we won't tell Rebecca you're coming. Great idea. So she flew from Vancouver, I flew from New York, we got there. Rebecca was supposed to arrive the next day at about 3:15, and I got friendly with the night manager, Anna Pona, her name was. And I said, Anna, I told her the story. He's coming up from France and this come home from Canada. And wouldn't it be neat, Anna, if Samantha put on the pillbox hat and the uniform, and when Rebecca checked in, she was checking her in. Well, she said, this is a great idea. So we kind of rehearsed it. I'm waiting at the Grosvenor Hotel for the taxi to come up. Hadn't seen Beck for a long time. And I see her get out of the cab. I said, Sam, get into position, get into position. And I went out to see her. And Rebecca and I didn't have to say anything. We just hugged. We both cried. And then Samantha's come out with a pillbox hat and the bow tie and the red top. And she says, could I see your passport, please? Rebecca says, you look a lot like Sam, my sister Sam. She jumped over the counter. The night manager and Anna Pona were looking at a love affair between a father and 2 sons. We had the best weekend ever. Do you think they will remember that? Have fun. Have fun.